Welcome to Module 1 Cybersecurity Overview Lesson 1.1, where we will discuss cybersecurity disasters. The first step towards assessing and improving your company's cybersecurity strategies is gaining a better understanding of existing threats. To quote the Chinese philosopher Sun Tzu, "Know your enemy and know yourself, and you can fight 100 battles without disaster." In this lesson, we will present 3 case studies: Target, Home Depot, and Sony Pictures. These 3 case studies of cybersecurity disasters are meant to illustrate the many ways hackers can access valuable information from your company. These case studies will also provide you with information necessary to achieve this module's first learning objective: explain the importance of knowing your vendors and your company. Our first case study is one that you are probably already very familiar with: Target. Target thought that they were protected against a cybersecurity attack. The company purchased and installed a $1.6 million malware detection tool developed by a highly reputable firm called FireEye. This is the same firm that serves the CIA and Pentagon. Security specialists monitored Target's computers 24 hours a day and notified Target's security center in Minneapolis if anything looked suspicious. So what happened? The hackers sent malware programs to all cashier stations and every domestic Target store, which allowed for 40 million credit card numbers to be hijacked. Target's security system flagged the attack on December 2nd and informed the security team in Minneapolis, but they failed to respond. Target didn't even eradicate the malware until 13 days after the federal investigators warned them of the attack. So how did the hackers break in the first place, and why didn't Target respond to alerts? The hackers accessed Target's network by using the credentials of an HVAC vendor that was not set up with the same level of cybersecurity protection as Target. This is becoming a common issue that we will address throughout this program. No matter how protected Target was from an attack, they were only as secure as their least secure vendor, and in this case, that meant they were not secure at all. But attacks are inevitable no matter how secure a company is. What's important is the strategy a company has in place in the event of an attack. In the case of Target, they didn't spend the necessary time and energy developing a response plan within their Minneapolis security center because they assumed that their $1.6 million malware detection tool would block all threats and render a response plan pointless. Home Depot, on the other hand, had invested in cybersecurity software by Symantec called Endpoint Protection, but they turned off Symantec's network threat protection firewall and used the Windows firewall instead. As a result, 56 million credit card numbers were stolen. The firewall would have added a layer of protection to the cashier stations that were attacked by the malware. The Home Depot security contractors noticed and communicated the need for this firewall when Home Depot experienced 2 minor attacks in the year before the September 8th breach. As with Target, investigators believe that the Home Depot hackers entered the network using the credentials of an outside vendor. You might recall when Sony Pictures canceled the release of the film The Interview, which was a comedic take on an assassination plot against North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. It turns out Sony's cybersecurity technology did not cover email servers and password files. At first, Sony Pictures was not forthcoming about the reason behind the cancellation of this film, but they had no choice but to share the information when the hackers released huge amounts of confidential data from the Sony Pictures internal networks. The Monday before the film was to be released, Sony employees logged into their computers and found neon red skeleton graphics and a threat to release personal data if the movie was released. Though it was never confirmed, officials believe that the hackers were working with the North Korean government. As with the other case studies, the hackers reportedly stole computer credentials of a system administrator within an outside vendor, which gave them broad access to Sony's network. Once inside, the hackers planted Wiper malware, which used Microsoft Windows management and network file sharing features to spread and subsequently shut down and reboot the network. While a more rigorous system would have helped, many believe that the hackers would have prevailed either way because this was a politically driven, targeted attack. So what should we learn from these cybersecurity disasters? First, hackers are no longer kids sitting in their bedrooms with a laptop. They are skilled individuals who make a living stealing and selling IP from vulnerable companies. Hackers will look for the easiest target. For example, imagine a car thief in a mall parking lot. This car thief is less likely to break into the first car they come across and more likely to try handles until they find a car that is unlocked. In the same way, hackers look for networks that are not locked. Once they find vulnerability in a network, they use data mining to identify information for which someone might pay money. They either steal the information themselves or advertise the information on the black market to attract buyers. So consider this. If you were the hacker, would you spend time and energy trying to hack a large company with multi-million-dollar cybersecurity strategy when you could simply enter the company's network through the back door? That brings us to our second lesson. Vendors provide hackers with a back door. In 2014, 1 out of 3 attacks on large companies were a result of hackers entering the network through one of the company's vendors. For this reason, we will revisit the words of Sun Tzu, the Chinese philosopher. It's important for you to know your enemy, in this case, hackers. You should also know yourself, your company, and your vendors. In doing so, you can fight 100 battles or cybersecurity attacks without disaster.